Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to Mind, Body, and Heart Tarot Therapy. Excuse this very poor setup. That's all I could make for this month. But yeah, I'm here to do the reading for November 2019 for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. And yeah, if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. This is a general reading, right? So it will apply for those Capricorns that find themselves in this energy. And if you're watching for yourself and you find yourself in this energy, you will know. Don't worry about it. Like, trust your intuition. And if it doesn't fit, then it just doesn't fit. Do also check out your moon and rising signs. This Capricorn is your sun. Sometimes it's actually very helpful to have a rounder picture of different embodiments of ourselves and different aspects of ourselves. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords as your current energy. Okay, let's see what's your challenge. Actually, I shuffled these cards forever. So we have the Five of Pentacles as your challenge. The Ten of Pentacles as your focus. Now that's interesting. The Hermit as your advice. And the Sun as your future energy. Well, will you look at that? And bottom of the deck we have nice, Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles as your underlying energy. That's pretty much like the theme of your reading, what you're working with this month. And these are like the stages and aspects, right? So yeah, we're entering Scorpio season. I'm gonna clarify these cards before we actually getting into the story. We're entering Scorpio season soon, so please happy birthday to all the Scorpios, Sun Scorpios, you know. Okay. Ace of Wands with the Queen of Swords. Beautiful. Knight of Wands with the Five of Pentacles. The High Priestess with Ten of Pentacles. I don't know why sometimes like the words just don't come. So Page of Pentacles with the Hermit. And Seven of Cups with the Sun. And we have the Seven of Pentacles as your underlying energy with the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very interesting combination to have, right? Especially as your underlying energy, as the theme of your reading. Nine of Pentacles talks about independence, talks about financial independence, but not only. Like this lady here, I don't know if that even makes sense to bring it here. Yeah, okay, not bad. This lady here, she's like enjoying the fruits of her labor here. She's been working hard to get here, but she's within her own authority here. Maybe in a newly created comfort zone in a sense, but this card talks a lot about coping with like taming our impulses and our needs for distractions or for anything else, and focusing that energy into work. But this is like the part where that work was mainly done, and this lady here, she's just enjoying, right? I'm always disturbed by the image of the bird here because the taming of a bird isn't a very gentle process, right? Actually, when you have, for example, an eagle, you need to take them from for a young age, and they blindfold them in order to train them, and they feed them only on certain hours. It's actually a very cruel process. It's been around for many years. You can see fascinating videos online with Mongolians training huge eagles, and it's beautiful when once you see the result, but the process in itself, as I said, it's kind of rough. um but I think that this particular, when I say this lady, I mean like this archetype, this energy, right? And in this case, you, because we're talking about you, Capricorn. Actually, you are the this is the receptacle for your energy, really. This also talks about timing, right? Like it is time maybe to indulge yourself a little bit in your garden of delights, based on the work that you've put in so far. um and maybe that may be challenging for you. It might be challenging also because the Seven of Pentacles is here, talking always about like, okay, what do we keep, what do we plant again, what is these are like very different stages somehow. And I feel like maybe part of you is here based on some of the work that you've done, but part of you is also here where it needs to like constantly assess and reassess what's going on, going a little bit back and forth here about like, okay, what's the right thing to plant. And this is a necessary process. It's like a sorting of, it's like part of any uh agriculture a process where you need to plant seeds, and then the seeds start growing, and then you need to take some part out and plant the rest. Depends, of course, also what you plant. But this is like the concept of this card, right? The archetype of somebody who's like, is like also growth, like sevens are spiritual challenges that are taking you for sure into a spiritual growth. So it's not so, it is still mundane, but not that much. It is that type of a growth of the soul where um it's not starting from scratch. It's not like the aces is like a complete new opening. But here it's like, okay, it's progress. So really assessing in a very pragmatic way, because it's very less pentacles energy. What is it that you're working with, and what does it actually bring results, so you can take that time to indulge also in it. And it's also this, like trying to keep that balance when it's time to rest and just eat the fruits, or when it's time to work, when is it time to plant. And that's why the snail is here talking about timing. There's a time for this stuff. It's not always there. We can't just always enjoy our garden of delights, because somebody needs to still take care of that garden. But we can't also constantly work, because we need to take our rest, and we need to take care of ourselves and pamper ourselves every once in a while. So yeah, maybe it seems to me that this is the main aspect of your reading right now. But let's go through this first. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords with the Ace of Wands as your current energy. Queen of Swords talks about being really connected to your mind, but from a more feminine way. Not in like, she's very strong, she's very straightforward, she's very articulated, and she's very clear in her mind. She understands what's for her and what isn't for her, and she takes full responsibility for that. Also, she's really, really good at communicating her boundaries, and she understands her boundaries. This is a person who suffered a lot, the Queen of Pentacles. This is like, it can be somebody in your life, but I think it's you, really. It's like you had been through a lot. And by being through a lot, you learned a lot, okay? And you definitely learned your boundaries, and you learned how to communicate them. And you may be in that space in your life right now where you need to communicate something like that, where this Queen of Swords energy is coming out, and she's able to sense through your boundaries, communicate your boundaries. Also, she's a really, really good therapist. Like the Queen of Swords is focused on the mind, but it's also about the heart, really, because she's still female, feminine energy. The queens are driven by the heart, really. The how's it called? Well, you understand what I mean. The kings are driven by necessity. That's their drive. Like they act in the way to provide for their but it's like more the basic needs. The queens are more about the heart, about the loving space, the caring. This one is not the most caring and loving of the queens. I mean, she's not that nurturing. She's more of a warrior. But still, it's like heart, sort, like sorry, mind, sort energy combined with the heart, spiritual, emotional. So it may actually be also that need of communicate some emotions that are there, or communicate this Ace of Wands here, that it means like a spiritual awakening of some sort, or the awakening of a passion, the awakening of something that uh it's very important to you, you know. It's something completely new. It might have been there before, but it's coming back then. And but that needs to be communicated, that needs to be protected, that needs to be nurtured in order to grow, you know. It's an ace. You just like the seed of it just came out, and you're just becoming aware of it. If that seed isn't being nurtured, then the tree won't grow, you know. Seem to be making a lot of like uh agricultural references, but I guess it's actually suitable since you Capricorn are an earth sign and you do understand earth energy quite well. We have a lot of that here. But you know, in order to understand our earth energy and work with it, it doesn't work by itself. This is a full system. This is what we have, both earth and we have like it's like a um it's like layers. We have earth, we have water, we have air, and then we have fire, which is like the more spiritual. So we have earth, like the physical reality, then we have the emotional reality, then we have the mind reality, then we have the spiritual reality, and then it keeps going backwards and forwards and so on. uh my point is that for you, in order to have your earth energy serve you and work for you, it needs to work together with the other energies. That means the energy of air as well, like engage your mind and engage your communication skills to serve you, engage your spiritual realm and your passion and your fire to work for you as well. Have them work together. And yeah, this seems to be a bit of a challenge right now for you, because you are in this since that November and the Scorpio season, and later on Sag season, Sagittarius season. It's bringing this feeling of isolation up, and it makes sense because Scorpio energy can be very much about this deep transformation, this deep emotional uh understanding that, but that goes like way beyond your normal deep. Scorpio goes places where not many other signs can follow, and it talks about empowerment through um merging, but also empowerment by through boundaries. And this is like one of the energies, especially on the earth realm, that's least empowered. You know, these people here are pretty much left out in the cold, or they feel like they're left out in the cold, and they feel like the rejected, the abandoned, the ones left behind. And they don't see that there's actually help available. They just need to ask. There's a church right here next to them. And not going into Christianity right now, but the point is that churches are were supposed, like, symbolically, meaning sanctuary. So they can ask for sanctuary, or they can ask for help and protection, or food, or whatever. Um, if they are even aware that they're passing a church, but they are not aware because they're like so deep into these uh trance of loneliness and separation. And it is a very challenging energy. I mean, like, I feel deeply for you. I've been there quite a few times, and it's not easy to deal with it, because when we're in there, we are in there. I mean, that's the whole point. We can't see that there's help available. So the question is, how do we bring ourselves out of that? How do we allow ourselves to see? How can we help ourselves relating to this energy from my most wise self, from a place of compassion and love and awareness and inclusion? How do I bring this part of me back home into the whole, you know? This is actually why we're doing these readings, in order to understand what are our current energies, and have some tips, maybe, or having some raising the right questions, you know. And Knight of Wands, the Knight of Wands talks about like expansion, right? It's spiritual expansion. It's a very fast moving energy. And I think this energy is available to you right now, and it's probably the one that you don't see, that you actually have this skill. You actually, this energy can be present in you, but instead of using it maybe for to expand your spiritual realm, in order to use it to expand your passion and your thirst for adventure and for life and for fun, maybe you're using it in a more escapist way, or maybe you're not using it at all. Maybe you're suppressing it right now, like, I don't have time to have fun right now, I don't have time to explore. Here I am, I need to figure out my resources and to figure out how on earth am I going to pay the bills. There's not time for fun. And I get it, that's for sure. Like, the when we are in there, we definitely don't we can't, this doesn't sit well with us, because it brings out guilt, it brings out we're like, maybe I'm just being responsible here. And yeah, the Knight of Wands is not the most like reliable energy on the in the deck. It's Sagittarius energy. So if you do have Sagittarius in your chart, you may actually might be struggling with that Sagittarius side of you that is playful, that wants to explore, that wants to go deep, that wants to philosophize, that wants to expand, constantly expand. Sagittarius run by Jupiter, and it can actually sometimes get obsessed with that expansion. And when you're in here, you can't expand anywhere. I mean, like, you're like, dude, I need food, or I need love and care. I need the community. I need to be feel included. This actually signifies like a root chakra imbalance. The Five of Pentacles is like the card that's the first thing that comes to mind. And you can work with your root chakra from an energy point of view. we can work with your story. But actually, let's get exactly into that. This is your focus. You seem to be focusing on what is it that you want actually. What's your legacy? What is it that you're leaving behind? The riches and the prosperity that you want. And also, it might be useful to take a look at your past generations and see kind of how what's their story. What is the story of success that they perpetuated, like in your family or in your family tree, and why is it that you feel so unsuccessful? You may be actually very successful from certain aspects, but not from the definition that you received from your family or from your caretakers, from your like several generations. If in your generation, for example, Capricorn, and that's a big thing, status is very important, then maybe you would be constantly uh, maybe driven by the need for status, the need to prove to others that you're capable, that you work hard, that you are important, or that you have that status. Well, that could come through career or actual social climbing and things like that. And it can be reflected in, I don't know, about how much money you're having, how much you have in your garden here. And if you find yourself here, like if this shows up, it can come up as a shame or whatever, you know. But for example, it can be that you might have reached, like spiritually speaking and emotionally speaking and mentally speaking, some very deep waters, some very deep aspects, and maybe you've learned how to balance some of that and work with it, which is a tremendous process, success in a sense, but you may not see it because maybe you are uh, driven too much by the what's it called, the values that your family had been carrying for quite a while. It depends also on generations. Like, don't look at only at your parents, look at your grandparents, look at your grandparents, look a little bit like where they're coming from as a community, and see what the values there. And there can be a lot of wisdom there too. It's not only bad things. There can be a lot of wisdom about how to really cope with certain things, about community, about inclusion, about support and communication of that, about accountability, all that stuff. And with the high priestess, the whole story is like going inside. You'll understand this so much better once you do that from a rather uh from a very like hold space for that, hold space for the emotional aspect of it. This is a two. Two talks about the emotions and about intuition, about like really connect to it at an intuitive level. Create a container for that, like a meditation practice, or reach somehow a meditative state. It doesn't need to be sitting meditation or whatever, but create that deep connection to your inner wisdom. That's where you need to get, and to learn, like connect to that part of intuition, that feminine, that watery ethereal part of you, subconscious, where you store that information actually. And by connecting, by having this as your focus, you can learn so much. You can learn so much, and you can trust it, because it comes like from within. It doesn't come from somebody who tells you how you're supposed to be, or how you're supposed to look, or how you're supposed to perform. You understand how these, like the your legacy, like and also the inheritance that you got from your ancestors, how is that really affecting you, and what are you trying to put out there really, and by what values system are you judging yourself from, because you are judging yourself harshly, Capricorn. That is part of your archetype, and that is part of your journey, and part of your, like, deeply part of your journey, because Capricorn has tremendous power. It's a cardinal sign. It's so strong. It can create things. It's one of those manifestors that can move mountains, really, once they have their direction, once they're understanding of their own inherent value. But if they're coming from this place only, then they can show up as opportunists. They can show up as people that actually would step on bodies only to get themselves that particular position, or that those riches, or that status, or whatever, that job. So connect deeply to yourself here, and connect to your the story that you're telling yourself, the story that you're coming from, and see how valid that is for you right now. I think those two work together. Yes, your advice. This is like doubling this whole take space. Uh, this seems to be like very clear as a message for you, as a note for you, Capricorn. Right now, you need to, like, right now in November, when you're actually seeing this reading, once you feel through these energies, it's kind of like you understand what this is going about. And the Hermit is also earth energy, right? It's Virgo energy, and here you have the Page of Pentacles, which is also earth energy. So there's like coming back to really using the quality of your energy, borrowing a little bit from different archetypes, of course, but you inherently understand how the energy moves in the physical plane. And that can be in money, that can be in um, what is it that you're manifesting, really, in your daily reality, in your physical reality, the 3D world, that's what we're talking about here. And in, like, you go into this rather meditative, reflective, watery space, but you also go with the groundedness of the Hermit. The Hermit is a very grounded energy. He's somebody who's very investigative. He's bringing this, like, a light of healing, and this is the light of the star, right? You bring in the light of healing inside this space where you start understanding your intuition, you start understanding your connection. And the Page of Pentacles, it keeps showing up. Like, seriously, I think it showed up for the other two readings that I've done, and this is the third reading. Page of Pentacles talks about really understanding the natural transformation that comes with growth. But growth happens naturally. You don't decide to grow up. These are like, the pages are like children growing, and they're just learning about the world. They're just learning about how they're using their power. They're just starting understanding that they actually have power. And in the case of the Pentacles, this person just starts understanding the power of the Pentacles, the value in this. Just found this disc on the floor, maybe somewhere, and you're like, or within, really. That inherent value is within. That's the whole point. And this page learns about this. This page is like going out there and allows this knowledge to transform him. And he's very, very grounded. He's very connected to the earth. He's very kind of like those kids that just play and run all the time. They're in their bodies. They don't spend that much time into their minds, calculating, or I don't know what. They're like children are much more intuitive, and they're much more connected, really. Not necessarily in a very clear and understanding way. They don't have the big picture, but they're very authentic, until we adults fuck with them and scar them, and then they need to go through that and heal that. And we are somebody else's children, and we're going this the same thing, right? Sorry, that was a little bit okay. With the point is also that the Page of Pentacles, pages also talk a lot about messages, right? And Page of Pentacles tells you, go within your body. And it actually makes sense, you know, like the high priestess is going to the intuition, the hermit is going to your analytical, methodical way, learn the methods, learn the wisdom, the understanding, learn the methods, and then learn the process. How are you going to apply this in your physical world? How can you connect to your body? How can you put all this together and understanding at the body level, so that it can actually come a very deep, embodied, and grounded understanding and knowledge about yourself, and how to feel empowered in any energy, because you learn how to relate to the energy, not relate from the energy. When we're grounded, we learn to stop identifying with stories that aren't necessarily ours, and then we learn to have compassion for the part of us that was driven by those stories, identified with those stories, and then that part of us comes back to the whole. Okay, so future energy, that's really beautiful. It's the sun with the seven of pentacles, and the sun talks about, well, look at this card. This is Leo energy. This is like the inner child coming out and playing. This is like revealing of parts of yourself. It's like somebody some see the nakedness here. This child is very vulnerable here. It shows himself whole, and doesn't have any shields or filters, because they're not necessary. He can just enjoy life, and he can enjoy life fully and express this joy of life, because he feels safe. He's like protected. There's a wall here right behind him, which signifies protection. And there's the sun like watching him directly, that personified character that looks very strong and very wise and very, and the child knows inherently that he's fully safe and he can allow himself to play. And you, Capricorn, you can really make use of this energy. You're not very used with vulnerability. You're so good at getting out there, get things done, working hard, but you're not that well, not that good at playing around and just like chill the fuck up. Sorry. um to truly enjoy, to really, yeah, sorry about that. Had an interruption there. So yeah, it's very important for you to learn about this, because we, like, our archetypes, the Capricorn archetype, or whatever, the Sagittarius archetype, or the Virgo archetype, or whatever we have in here, uh these archetypes that we identify with, or that these energies that are we strongly connect to, because they're like present in our chart, they're actually there to support us, right? Each and every energy has a I don't know, highest vibration and a lowest vibration, let's put it this way. You can find that in an enneagram as well, or other type of studies, like what's your you at your best and you at your worst, but can be the same character, the same archetype, and yeah, well, as I said, like, I already brought a lot of qualities for the Capricorn, but yeah, vulnerability, and into joyful playfulness, and connecting to emotions, and like really feeling through the emotional baggage, really feeling through, like, trusting emotions, trusting intuition when they choose what they need to choose, not just practicality. Well, that's a little bit out of the comfort zone. And I think that you're learning this. You're learning how to be in your garden and how to assess your crops, by learning also how to connect to your inner child, and to allow that inner child to play a little bit, and to connect to this whole dreamy energy where you can allow yourself to daydream a little bit, allow yourself to create a vision that and see also what how many of those dreams that you maybe harbored when you were a child are still serving you, or are they still relevant for you based on your journey so far, and where you find yourself at this point in life with this whole assessment card, right? Okay, I really hope that makes sense to you. I'm gonna pull a Rumi oracle for you. Get some wisdom of the heart from our brother Rumi and Alana Fairchild, who's actually the author of this deck. I really love this deck, guys. It's very profound, it's very deep, sometimes a little bit hard to connect to because it can be okay. A new gown. Oh wow. The language sometimes can be quite I don't even know how to describe it. I'm gonna leave it at that then. Okay, I'm gonna read the poem from Rumi that's associated with this card, which says, "Weary and consumed by longing, I was caressed by my beloved last night. My wounded soul was set free when I tasted the sweetness of love. My spirit was lifted at once. I surrendered my life while overflowing with joy, and my vision was filled with light. Love said, 'Don't feel so hopeless, my weary and gloomy one, for my generosity is beyond forgetting those devoted to me. See how boundless divine justice can be. Behold my immeasurable kindness.' Love embraced my spirit, and all my doubts vanished at once. And all my doubts, and not just doubts, like all the fears and the disconnection vanished at once. A new and glorious robe of honor was placed on my shoulders. Love offered me the power of new vision. Yes. And the transforming touch of divine generosity, and placed by the chalice of eternal wine in my hand. And placed the chalice of eternal wine in my hand. Okay, wow. That's quite beautiful, and I think quite fitting with what is the general story that we talked about here. Also, I'm thinking about this. I kept looking at this lady's gown here, which is very fancy and silky and expensive. Yeah, this oracle comes to you with a sacred portent. You are fast approaching a moment of a great leap, an evolutionary shift on your spiritual path. Your sense of yourself and your divine identity is about to be revealed and realized in a way more potent than ever before. This is wonderful. It is a divine happening. You must allow it. Do not confuse humility with humiliation. Do not humble yourself excessively. Yes, that is part of your archetype sometimes as well, humbling yourself excessively and not really taking credit for the hard work that you're putting. You do not have to battle with false pride either. That's, yes. Simply honor yourself as a living being worthy of life, worthy of this royal path of divine realization. What a gift it is to cast aside belief in inferiority or superiority, unhelpful as those notions are for you now. What a gift instead to embrace your own path, irrespective of what any other may think, whether they hold it in glory or derision. This oracle comes with sacred guidance for you. You are stepping into empowerment. Yes, yes, yes. You are stepping into an empowerment in a new way, and it has to be honored. Do not allow yourself to be dragged into dramas or power games. You are worth so much more than that. You are tapping into your inner dignity and others may not know how to respond. Some will respond with love and acknowledgement, others with fear and judgment, calling you too big for your boots or high and mighty. Those are voices of fear, not truth. Be in your dignity and power and keep going. It is the divine that urges you, thus, not the ego. Do not doubt the changes happening within you now. Embrace them. So I think that this oracle encompasses a very important guidance for you right now, which is like, let go of comparison, let go of the need for status or the need to be better than someone else. And that's hard for Capricorn. Capricorn can be very competitive, and it's all about status. So this part is really being challenged, but from wherever we're coming from in our charts, and whatever, like, the charts are actually way more complicated than just the sun or the moon or the rising, in terms of astrology, I mean. But we're learning about ourselves with these archetypes, and we're learning also how to grow these archetypes, how to blend them, how to have them work together. When we have what in astrology they generally call incompatible energies within our charts, for example, that actually always leads to amazing hybrids and amazing growth. That if those two different energies can be reconciled and have them work together. I hope that makes sense to you, because the point is, like, the message is always the same for everyone. The point is, like, how are we actually getting there? Are we letting it in? The message is love. Love is everything, and that's why I love this oracle actually so much from Rumi anymore. From Rumi, because he found so many ways to send this message to where we are in the moment. If this is my challenge, then this is the one that I need to befriend. This is the one that I need to bring back home. This is the one that I need to send love to. And I may not like this energy, but I can befriend it. So allow your inner child to play, and don't get stuck in this taming part. It's time to allow for playfulness, and that playfulness will also guide you out of here. All right, Capricorn, I hope that makes sense to you. It's a really beautiful reading actually, so thank you so much for your hard work, for the work that you're doing on yourself here, and thank you for watching. If it resonates, please like, share and subscribe. It would really help me grow my channel and also reach other people out there that would be maybe would benefit from these readings. All right, well, have a wonderful November, Capricorn.